and got some really good feedback. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to present it to some of the Pinnacle staff. Kind of the goal here is to demonstrate the functionality. So we'll kind of walk through some of the different applications within the application, and then hopefully get some feedback about the spill response tool, but also hopefully inspire some thinking about how we could use ArcGIS Online for other applications. So I've kind of identified like 3 major benefits of the ArcGIS Online users to kind of interact with spatial data. Another benefit is doesn't really require any specialized GIS training. It's kind of has a very intuitive interface that's a lot like Google Earth. And then you can also view this on your computer, tablet, or phone, and there's potential for viewing this offline. So if we end up wanting to use ArcGIS Online for field applications, you can cache information, go out into the field, and also collect information and then sync it back into the this is a cloud database, so it's all exists on a server in Redlands, California, that we have pretty much through our licensing free access to. We don't, they give us an allocated amount of storage space based on our annual licensing fees that we pay for the basic GIS licensing. I'm going to just kind of switch to kind of showing the interface here and some of the different tools. So this is just sort of a default. It's been a combination of downloading data offline and getting data from BNSF, Canadian Pacific, and then the Federal Railroad Administration has an online viewer just like this with ArcGIS Online that we kind of just exported some data from as well. So it's really powerful to be able to not only see the mileposts on here, but to also be able to then layer river miles on, because when we were doing a response on rivers, we got the river guys and they're talking river miles, and we got the rail guys and they're talking mileposts, and then, you know, in the interface we can also get coordinate information for the geographers here. So it's really kind of I think a powerful way to interact in the application. So I just was thinking we could just kind of go through like a basic scenario here of how this would be used. So let's say at 2 in the morning, Jim gets a call about a rail incident, bridge washout in Hastings at the river subdivision through CP at milepost 391.25. So he could easily log in here. He wants to look at, he knows it's in Hastings, Minnesota. You can geocode right up here just like Google, bring you down into Hastings here. You can pretty much assume that the crossing is going to be here because this is the only rail crossing in Hastings. But if you wanted to kind of verify the specific milepost, you could then toggle those on. You can see 391.25 is right here. So then Jim could go in here and open the emergency response guide. And this is a new application that ArcGIS Online has developed. Maybe we've got coordinate information, maybe we don't. He could just basically grab this little icon here, drop it on the crossing, created a location. The material is crude oil, so you can type in crude oil here. It automatically searches through a database of hazardous materials and links to the material safety sheets right into the application. We're going to say this is small because it's an unknown amount at this point. We want to toggle on a fire isolation zone. Wind direction, we might not know that right now, but one of the other tools here is incident analysis. So I just basically went over here where there are additional tools that are built into the application. Incident analysis, mark my incident location, toggle weather, and I can see winds west. I mean, this is live weather information. Wind is west at 3.45 miles per hour. I can just type that in. And
Actually, to a live website to get that data.
Yep. So actually it's just asking wind direction, so it's west, so you just type in the azimuth here, so that would be what, 270 degrees. That's the one thing that's not intuitive if you don't know the azimuths, but and then it's night right now, so just toggle night here. It didn't actually ask wind speed, it's not that sophisticated, but essentially create zones. So within, I don't know, 30 seconds there, we dropped a incident location here. We'll call it CP MP391. Publish. And so now it's publishing it to the application. So let's say Sean's down in Rochester, and Jim calls Sean and says, "Hey, we've got an incident in Hastings at the bridge crossing at 391. Open the SRA application. We've got a point on there. We've already identified fire zones. We've got wind direction, and I haven't really fully explored this, and I think this tool here could be really useful for just getting a point on the map. We don't necessarily use the exact same fire zones or incident zones, but if you go back to your layer legend over here, you've got spill location, protective action areas, downwind areas, fire zones, and other type of features. So my guess is Esri's the software company is working to kind of develop this and make it so it can be customized a little bit more. So that information is now in the application. So if I were to refresh this, or if anyone logs into this, they can see that. You can turn that off too. Like, let's say that incident's done. Now we want to not have that be part of the map. So that's kind of a really powerful way to use it kind of in a response scenario, but beyond that there's a whole gallery of base maps here. So looking at it from this perspective right now, it's really not giving you much, but we can switch it into an aerial perspective, and then you can kind of start zooming in here and getting a little bit better feel for the lay of the land here. I won't go through all the base maps, but I mean there's US topo maps on here as well. They don't have the nav charts on here yet, but there is a navigational chart index that I found. And we'll switch back to this light gray so we can see it. This is indexing all of the navigational charts. So, you know, folks who are going to be taking equipment out on the river, they might not want to have their phone out and looking at this stuff, so they can easily just, Jim could click on this and grab and it hyperlinks right to the chart. So you can, this is a PDF, you can print this, you can email it, do whatever you want. It's covering actually two different, that bridge is on two different charts. So if you got people coming upriver and downriver, you might want to get a sense of where all the boat access locations are and staging locations are. So you might want to get both charts, print both of these out, and take them out in the field with you. So that's if you know you kind of want to go offline with this and use your nav charts. But
so you just linked to the nav charts there?
Yeah, and basically this UMR, this Upper Mississippi River.
So you just linked to their site,
gotcha. Yep. I just grabbed onto this, and this is actually a piece of data that was published by probably the Army Corps of Engineers, and in this interface you can add data and find it globally of people who are publishing information. we keep all of our information pretty much private, so it's like it's only searchable for our organization. But things like nav charts, the Army Corps engineers probably figured this is something the public should have their hands on. So I just kind of brought this in as a layer, so it's not a base map, but it's just a layer. It'd be cool to see it as a base map if we can navigate on the map. So you've kind of identified your location. You've accessed the navigational charts. You've maybe even turned on your imagery information here, zoomed in here. You could then, again, maybe you don't want to bring your phone out into the field, or sometimes incidents, especially with rail, you can't bring your phone with you. So you can even toggle this widget here, which will allow you to just print this screen to a PDF, and you can kind of customize what's being shown on the screen. So you can start turning on information like your sensitive species. You want to look at your managed lands, archaeological sites, water intakes. But typically in the initial incident response we're not necessarily looking through that lens. We're looking at how do we get there and how do we stop the bleeding. So you're going to turn on your boat access locations, your marinas. You got your locks and dams, and then built in this application is all of the geographic response plans. So these are predetermined, pre-prescribed response strategies that have been developed by Upper Mississippi River Basin Association. So these are only really applicable to the Upper Mississippi River, but they're kind of a really powerful way to sort of do contingency planning for spills. So this basically pre-describes the location that's been field verified, that has access, both often land and water access. It describes the boat launch area, and it describes the type of tactics that you might do, whether it be contain and collect, or diversion, or in this case deploy boom and anchor at the east pillar of the bridge, and piling at Hub's Marina. High flow conditions are ideal, as both will have maximum control over boom. They're recommending 500 feet of boom. Shoreline they describe as urban, riprap, and other development. And so I think really having the GRPs in here is a really powerful.
And you pulled those in from an outside source.
Yeah, I brought
the Esri tool doesn't have that data. It's just,
no. This is a custom design application. The only thing that Esri is doing is creating an interface for us to build things in it. So a lot of this data is all from the UMRBA, where we've got water intakes, historic sites, boat access, marinas, locks and dams, archaeological sites. I mean, it's sort of an endless amount of sensitive resource data, infrastructure, transportation, and then you've got your rail, your pipeline, all your hazards, your above ground storage tanks. So it really kind of connects you with the whole fabric of the operational planning, where you're trying to connect all the pieces. All of this information, let's turn on something that you might want to.
So like above ground tanks, is that another one that came out of Umbra?
Yeah. Yep.
It's not linking, you're not pulling up PCA above ground tank database or anything like that.
Nope. Yeah, UMRBA developed it probably from the
sure.
PCA and all these other folks. So, and this, I previously worked for this UMRBA in developing these resources. So I know that months have been spent developing the resource and even calling all these facilities, verifying the information, like above ground storage tank information. So it's accurate and it's being updated. I think they're basically updating information on an annual basis now that everything's been built. So for every piece of information on here, you can kind of
drill down.
you can drill down. You can open up. You can get the attributes. Since there is so much information, there's what's happening here is that there is clustering. So when there's a lot of points in one area, it clusters them. So here we've got 2 above ground storage tanks. We've got a facility name. We've got location, products, distillate fuel oil. We've got emergency contact information and additional, comments and information about accessing. So for every piece of data, you can kind of drill down a little bit further. Also, down at the bottom of the screen here is your attributes. So for everything that's toggled on here, you can look at all this information. And basically, you can say filter by map extent. So instead of showing everything in that database, it's just going to show you information for what's on the screen. And you can export this to an Excel table. You can print it. You can pretty much do whatever you want with it. So, for instance, like the UMRBA GeoPDF interface that they had an icon where you could print what was on the screen, and it kind of summarizes it. And so this is kind of the same kind of deal, where you can just look at it in a more tabular sense. You can maybe print this stuff out and bring it out in the field with you, especially if you've got a lot of contacts that you need to make as far as contacting different agencies, like with sensitive resources, and you might need to contact tribal people if you're going to be working on tribal land, or a whole number of things. So it kind of has really endless possibilities as far as how you access information. And I mentioned before about this bookmarking. So when Jim, for instance, was down here at that river mile, he created a bookmark. It's now saved into the application. So anyone, part of Pinnacle Engineering or whoever has access to this application can kind of just bookmark here and see, oh, there's River Mile 391. They can go and get in there right away. Some of the other things that you customize as far as turning layers on and off, and using some of the other tools, those won't really be saved. Those are just during your work session. So certain things get saved, other things are not saved. Here is directions. So just like Google, you can type in your, Pinnacle Engineering location and it will geocode. Well, we've got a lot of locations here. Maybe we'll put Minneapolis. Jeez, we're just not. All right, Maple Grove. You can be more specific than this, but this is just going to give you your directions, and you've got a full step-by-step thing if you want to print it out. This is driving time. You can change it to rural driving time, truck driving time, walking times. You've got a whole host of ways to kind of navigate, to your location. This application is also you can have this on your phone and you can navigate on the map. So I'm just right now hit this button here, and this blue dot here is our location in our office. But if you get in a truck right now and you're looking at this application, you're going to start moving through it, and you've got all your resource data, you got all your access information, sensitive resource information, your GRPs of where you might do different tactics for kind of managing the situation.
What are GRPs?
So, a geographic response plan, sorry. And I think, they're kind of calling them response plans, but it's sort of like a facility response plan, except for it's for specific locations for kind of containment and collection and tactics related to hazardous material spills. So just a few other widgets I'll run through here. So let's say we're working with some other contractors and we want to get them on board with this, maybe our subcontractors. We can share this link right in the application. You can email it, you can social media it, you can embed it in your website. It is username and password protected, so I've since put this hyperlink and username and password onto the invite for this, so if you guys want to kind of explore it a little bit more. But as far as sharing it with, like, you know, even internally or with other subcontractors, we can kind of pretty easily just send them an email within seconds that'll direct them to it, and we'll just give them the username and password so they can get on board. So you could even be out in the field and you know, collecting some information related to the spill, maybe taking some pictures at different locations, documenting the process, which often is done, and it's just going to kind of get saved into that cloud, and people can kind of see that information getting updated throughout the operational period. So there's a lot of probably other tools that I could go through here. I was just kind of trying to be sensitive to not, you know, taking up too much of people's lunchtime here. But if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
So all you need really is internet access, right? You've got Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you can. All you need is either use data off your phone or Wi-Fi access, and there is an vector where you just cache the information and then you can go offline. All of our phones have GPS on them, so you can still navigate on the map with the information and collect data. And then once you get a Wi-Fi connection, again, it just can sync back up into the cloud. So
all the points on here, like for drinking water intakes and sensitive areas and stuff like that, that's all from Umbra. So that's only going to be for, like, so if you had like a
Site
away from that, then it wouldn't be helpful.
Unless you've got another database that's got that available, you can
Yeah.
go to a different database.
yeah, so I mean, this is kind of like the region that UMRBA has. It's not just Upper Mississippi River, it's all of EPA Region 5. So you've got, you know, we don't have North Dakota, but you've got Minnesota, you have Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio.
What do those represent, those blue marks?
Oh, the ones that are on right now? Oh, these are, those are marinas. So yeah, again, it's kind of like probably it can be a little confusing having too much on this too. So you can make it so that information only turns on when you zoom in so far or you zoom out so far. But I find that it's just easier to have just toggle the information on and off when you need it, because you know you get to a location, your first step is just you're looking at rail or pipeline information, and you're going to start turning on your infrastructure and access information. Then maybe the next day or later on in the response, you're going to start turning on your resource data. So, and I mean, honestly, you could turn your resource data even, like, I think with this application, it empowers us to even make informed decisions about where we do collection or containment, because the resource data is right there. And sometimes it's like, yeah, there's sensitive resources there, but if we let this go downstream, it's going to cause a lot more damage. So we still need to do what we need to do, but at least we know it, you know. So
is river flow data in it though?
yeah, so the USGS has stream gauge data, and so this little icon up here is called Add Data. And so right now it's on my organization, so this is just information that we have on our account. But we can go down to ArcGIS Online and search in here for, we want gauge, river gauge data. You gotta use the right words. I think stream gauge is maybe the title here. Live stream gauges. So this is, you know, they use
Stream
telemetry or so.
Stream gauge works for tributaries to the Mississippi, but not the Mississippi itself.
Yeah.
For that, you have to use the NOAA one.
You gotta go to NOAA for the big rivers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So, yeah, so I mean, it really depends on whoever's hosting data on here, but I know USGS has a live stream gauge data database in here, and like actually this is linking right in, right, I just opened this attribute, it's linking right to the NOAA website and giving you some of the stream stage information.
Go back to your Hastings one.
Okay. Yep, we'll just go back. So we'll just hit our bookmark here. So it doesn't look like we've got any stream gauge data here.
Probably
Need to
one of
go
the
out,
dams just
right.
upstream. yeah.
Yep. You
What?
just need to zoom out a
Zoom
little bit.
out.
Okay. Let's get some
There's a dam right there.
right here. Yep. So there should be a gauge here. That's USGS or
No, that'd be NOAA.
NOAA.
Yeah.
Yep. So for some reason they don't have it in here, but yeah, and that's probably something we could search around for and try and bring in, because when you go to add data, you can search the ArcGIS online, but you can also bring in URL map services. Like these are hosted online services that have nothing to do with ArcGIS Online. So you know, we could bring it in. You can also bring in like KMLs, like from Google Earth, and you know, CSV files, or really any number of data. You can just drop it right into this box and it'll show up on your screen.
You
So
should be able to get live stuff from NOAA too.
Yeah.
For weather.
yeah.
So it can show you what's coming in as far as weather goes too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, you know, this Esri, the software company that created this interface, seems to be monthly creating new tools for this. I mean, the fact that, you know, they're a $4.2 billion company and they're already creating like spill response tools, you know, because they're listening to the community of users and making them tools that they need. So again, I was just kind of showing this presentation, ArcGIS Online, in the context of spill response, but I think there are probably a lot of other applications. We definitely have probably another decade of paper maps, so this isn't like a substitute for that, but it's going to be, I think, something that can complement a lot of the work that we do. So, and field work for that matter, because I mean, the ability to go out, we all have smartphones now, we can take pictures and stuff with this and have it just kind of, you know, syncing up with our cloud database, and then we can bring it into, if we then need to map it in Office, it's super easy, because once it's on the cloud, even when any of us that have ArcGIS Online desktop, we can just add that data real quick. It's kind of all connected. So
So what do you need to run this viewer?
nothing.
Nothing.
All you need is internet.
So this is the website you go to?
Yeah,
on
there's
the-
a link.
Click on
All you
the
do is
link.
you hit the link and you're here. And one little trick I learned is, so in order to have the locational services, normally it's HTTP://. If you want location, you have to put HTTPS. You have to add the S in there. Apparently that's what gives you kind of a locational abilities. I've got our a link up here that this takes you to our emergency response website. You know, we're probably going to be using this internally, but if at any point we are using it with some of our contractors, we can link information in here that will kind of direct them to, you know, additional information here, like about our, you know, different contacts and work that we do. So
that
it's somewhat of a
S-
marketing tool in a way.
It is a good one. The S is actually indicating that that's a secure
Okay.
HTTP. Security with this, or not security, and you are secure with this. You're as secure as, you're actually as secure as the Wi-Fi connection you're using if you're on Wi-Fi, or as secure as the internet connection you're using. So you have to be somewhat conscientious of that. And like Mike said, you can cache the data and take it out offline, which we might have to do as we move forward. We might have to consider projects where we use it offline as opposed to online.
Yeah, there's there's definitely a lot of concerns about security, like Beth was saying, but they have kind of addressed that, and so they're considering the ESRI cloud as like meeting above and beyond industry standards for security. It has both the whatever the trustee certified privacy seal is, the EU safe harbor through the U.S. Department of Commerce accreditation, and then also authorization from the Federal Information Security and Management Act through PHMSA. So they're really allowing you to make that as secure and private as you want, and I know BNSF has already developed a similar tool like this, but they're keeping it kind of on the lowdown, so to speak. I think there probably could be opportunities for kind of like exploring some of the other functionalities of this kind of in additional sessions, but this is sort of just
It's an example.
Yeah.
Functionality. What's an example?
Additional example. I think anytime we're out in the field collecting information, this could be incredibly useful, where it's sort of built-in business processes and workflows where you can kind of collect the information and streamline it into your database. And then, because usually what's happening is folks are going out in the field collecting information, and they might even need assistance with kind of the navigating to the locations and getting the information about where they're navigating to and who they're contacting. But then they're also collecting the information and then bringing it back from the field into the office and wanting it mapped. And so this makes it really quick for them to collect the information, and then for me or whoever's doing the mapping to just pull it off of our organization while we're in ArcGIS Desktop, and just the points are on there. The pictures are on there. Any attributes they collect in the field will be embedded in there. So it really kind of removes the data processing steps because it's just built into the kind of the interface. So I guess my question is just for you guys to think about how this would be used, because a lot of you guys are out in the field doing different things that I might not even know about. So part of this presentation, one of the goals is to kind of just think about how we might use this for different applications, that different work that we're doing. It could really be industrial, environmental, emergency response, definitely. So
Well, it kind of just takes all the stuff we have on GIS and puts it in everybody's hands.
yeah, that's there's folks at Pinnacle who have taken some GIS classes as part of their education, and they just haven't used it. It's kind of like use it or lose it type thing, and it's like we only have three or four licenses for the software, but now it's like you can kind of jump back in, and this is sort of designed to be user friendly. It's not it's pretty intuitive, a lot of the tools. And like, for instance, there's so many new tools like this emergency response thing that Jeff Powell sent us. And I just went online, we went online and read about it and pulled it in and see what it did. And, I don't think it required any of like my GIS training or anything to figure it out. So it's just really kind of cool how they kind of create a really user-friendly interface. So
So one thing, Mike, that kind of comes to mind is that Magellan thing that we put on those garments.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it would have been pretty a more user-friendly application for them to have this on a website like this, where they could just use their phones and.
Yep. Yeah, because I mean, for the longest time, the concern was people didn't want to do this because they're like, we need to work offline, you know. We're working in areas where there isn't cell coverage. So Esri was like, well, we'll fix that, and now they've made it so you can just go offline.
You should talk
But you
about
build it, and then you build it beforehand.
Yeah, you build it
But
beforehand.
there's no access if you have no
Yeah.
cellular service.
Yeah, so basically what you do is there's an you download like an app, like any app on your phone, you know, you download our collector, and then you sign into our account, and then you look at the map that you want to, the area that you're going to be working in, and you find your extent, and it's then going to cache all that information, so it's going to download it onto your phone so you can use it while you're out in the field.
Does it download just the layers you have clicked, or does it download everything?
everything.
Yeah, and see, I have not. I think that's going to be a chapter that
Yeah,
we will
that'd
have
be
to
a chapter.
explore, because I just know that you can do it. I've done some of it like in a classroom setting, but I haven't actually developed it for like business use, commercial use. So, but let's see, I thought someone was asking a question. So yeah, I think the ARC collector. Is something we can definitely explore. And it's like, our phones are really great, and there might come a point where it's like worth even having a couple tablets that are ruggedized, just because it's like trying to get around with your, trying to explore the data on your phone could be a little bit challenging. But I know I developed a similar application. I developed a similar application for the National Park Service on the Upper Mississippi River as part of a spill contingency planning product, because of the new part of the new Stillwater Bridge mitigation. And we were out on the river with the ArcGIS Online application, navigating through the information on the map and collecting information. And so I know it can be done, but it's just a matter of designing it. Yeah. So.
'Cause we all know too that you can get some reception some places too in the river.
Yeah.
Oh, there's lots of it, yeah.
And I think out of service and you're collecting data, I'm guessing once you get connected to the your data, the cell towers again, I think you can then beam that information back up to the cloud. So if you've got multiple people on the field, you got everyone's live putting information on the map, and you can see that information kind of coming up simultaneously. So I could see in a spill response, I know there's limitations with the railroad, because I think in a lot of times if you're in like a fire zone or something, you can't have your cell phone, right? Or I don't know. I seem to remember that from the swapper training, but in any case, it's like, you've got a lot of people in the field, a lot of different operations going on, so it would be cool to be able to see kind of how the operational phases are changing, And I really think in a large part, this is something you're in the incident command trailer and you've got your monitor up and you can have this application running and you can start interacting with the field.
This is the planning. That's what mostly.
Yeah.
It says you plan for the next operational period, this would be very good.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, expecting.
And that's how I'm seeing this used right now, predominantly.
Yeah.
In the emergency response world.
Yeah, because I mean, we don't want. Yeah, when you're out in the field, you don't want people down looking at their phones. You want to. But you can print this stuff out, so it's like they can have a map in their pocket that they look at. They can come to the incident command trailer and get the information they need pretty quickly. So. Yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of work with CP right now on the natural resource screening, and so, I think as a function of time, it's probably not too difficult of a sell, especially if we tell them BNSF already has this kind of thing going on. there's a lot of precedence for that.
Mhm.
So, and I asked Nick if it was like, hey, can you guys like do a little presentation on your application? And he's like, well, we'll show you or maybe a couple people, but they're just kind of keeping it on the DL right now. But I feel like they presented it at one of their trainings or
Little
something.
bits.
Yeah, little
pieces,
bits,
little pieces.
exactly. So, yep. And I know even with the Inland Sensitivity Atlas, the EPA is planning to take that to RTS Online in the coming year or two. So,
Makes sense.
yeah, so I mean that'll make this information
Just
that
another layer,
the information that they're collecting and updating and verifying, we're going to be able to just suck that into our applications even more quickly. So, because you can create groups between organizations where like there's the hazardous spills response groups that UMRBA hosts, and they have a organizational group or team or something like that where you've got a lot of different, they're giving access to a lot of different people to the information through that. So the one thing that we did run into that was a little bit of a challenge is we developed this application for the National Park Service, and then at the end of the project, the idea is that we're handing everything off to them, and it's a little, these applications aren't really designed to like just give to someone else. So if we design something for a client, it's gonna kind of be our thing that we maintain and hold on to. You can buy third-party softwares that allow you to transfer everything over, but it's not simple.
Yeah.
Which is maybe a good thing
You
because
have to maintain it.
we need an administrator anyways for these kind of things. It's not
Yeah,
something you
'cause a
just
lot of it's gonna be constantly changing.
yeah, it's not the type of thing you just hand off, and that's probably why Esri made it so that you don't just hand things off, because it's like the person that builds it's the person who administers and maintains it over time. So, but it's like for this, I basically brought a bunch of layers into ArcGIS Desktop, clicked a few buttons, and then it just exported everything into the application. From there, you can start designing. So you don't even have to necessarily go one by one building this in ArcGIS Online. You build it on your desktop and then beam it up to the cloud, open it in the ArcGIS Online interface. And there's lots of different configurations and styles and stuff that you can do for like how you view information. So
Is that just the layers that you have?
yep, this is just listing all of those layers that are toggled right now. And again, filter by extent here. Just shows you what's on the screen. You know, you can zoom in further, you're going to see less information. You can filter this. You can show and hide columns.
Okay.
You can refresh it, and then you can even, this looks
Presentation, volume 5.
pretty similar to the ArcGIS type thing, but you can toggle, information on and off. And then there is a way to export this, but I do not see it right now. But so it's really something that you have to kind of explore. I could spend a couple hours going through all the features here, but I think, and you guys can let me know, user friendly enough that you can kind of just start poking around. There's no way to break it. I mean, if you start getting lost in it, you just refresh, brings you back to your initial extent. There's a lot of data in here, so it takes a couple seconds to load sometimes, but I've been kind of looking at ways to make it, and I think part of the reason why it goes a little slow is because I set all the clustering configurations on. So, but yeah, so that was, I don't know, 15 seconds maybe.
You're also on Comcast.
I'm on Wi-Fi right now, yeah.
You're not on a wireless card in a trailer somewhere.
Yeah.
That would be a challenge.
Well, I mean,
It'd be a real challenge doing it on a hotspot.
It's a lot of data to
But
Right, you just piled up a lot of data.
But actually, when I was down in presenting at the Red Wing Care Group at the ADM facility, we were in the basement, and I wasn't able to connect to their Wi-Fi apparently because it's like encrypted. They don't have guest access or anything. So I actually just hotspotted it off my phone, opened the same application, and browsed through it. I didn't show them as much of the application. I just kind of showed them just the interface saying, hey, this is kind of what's the future of spill response, and seemed to work fine. So I mean, if we're in the basement using our phones, using hotspotting off our phone, I think it should work in the field just fine. So
you should talk to, I mean, internally, but if we could more quickly do FRPs, contain stuff outside the facility, rolling stock plans.
So you're saying picking up the data points.
Yeah,
Well, the end
finding all the stuff, like with the rolling stock plan, finding all the stuff along the line.
That's kind of what you're doing with all the culverts in that now, right?
Yeah.
Did CP have this stuff existing in a GIS database that you're looking at? Is that how you're getting access to it?
CP's like being, it's just like pulling teeth to get some stuff out
Well, that's
of it.
what I'm trying to
Yeah.
understand here. I'm thinking more now about how do I sell it, right?
Yeah,
I'm trying to understand what they've got versus what we can do for them.
right. And it took us a couple months just to get the milepost.
yeah, I had to basically go into the ArcGIS Online application through the FRA, then go into the like HTML coding, and then export it to a table
Yeah.
to then recreate the points.
Well, that's consulting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about
We're digging around to find
people
the
like
stuff.
Magellan.
Yeah.
They'd like to believe they've got this stuff. I don't think they do. Every time they show up, it's in La La Land, right? I'm just thinking out loud here. Can we get in front of them, make a demonstration like
Yeah.
this? And
Or could we have used something similar, and thinking again about our spider maps that we create when we have the derailment, could those be uploaded and we could show that data real quickly? So, oh, Greg, just pop it up, it's on your phone,
Yeah, we just sent you the link. Here's the
Yeah.
username and password. Pull this up.
we got it done.
Check the bookmarks. So yeah, I seem to remember with Magellan, the problem was that like apparently they don't have phones or something in the
you
field.
can't use your phones while they're
They're not
driving.
allowed to use their phones while they're driving. Yeah, but they are using Garmin GPS.
But I see this as an iPad.
So it's the same thing, right?
I mean, they will not answer the phone in the car.
No, and that's smart. We
Railroad
should.
guys
We really
answer it all
should.
day long.
They can use their phone though to access an app if they're not driving, right?
Oh, sure.
Can they be parked, or do they have to like get out of the car?
I don't.
Really, if they're driving, they have to be parked.
Yeah. Well, and we shouldn't be using this stuff while we're driving,
I'm just
anyways. I
thinking
mean,
out loud. A
you know.
presentation like this level,
Yeah.
Corey could set up with the local
Yeah.
Magellan leadership, right?
Yeah.
I think that might be just something.
And I wonder if we could have used this on eGAN in some way, like to transmit data.
It was pretty limited data set.
Mhm.
I mean, narrow, right? Not very geographically spread out.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
definitely could feed your data up to this. I
Yeah.
see the people who sit in the planning meetings using this stuff.
Mhm.
All the time.
So you just got invited to the planning sessions if we get a
Yeah.
call tonight, so.
Yep. No,
I'll
that's
stick
fine.
you
I
right-
think.
no, but I'll stick you right into that room
Right.
as our representative from environmental and from, the locals.
Yeah.
Because they could learn a lot from, and I'm sure some of these, we always walk in the situation, if here's a company we don't know.
Yeah.
Be it CTEH, this would be something that might be worth talking to them about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they doing? We just signed a mutual agreement with them, mutual services agreement, and we're gonna work closer with them. This might be something we could provide to them on a basis when they need help.
Here's wind speed,
Right.
probably have some of that. but
How'd you get
show
the pipeline data? Isn't that proprietary, so you have to have certain permissions for it to
It
show
would
it.
be
UMRVA.
A GIS practice.
UMRVA.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my deals.
Well, this is not, I mean, this is Pinnacle
Yeah.
though, it's private.
About the
Okay.
perspective of
I mean, I didn't really show well, I mean, the care groups have
Yeah,
the
that's
data
true.
too, so we're not showing it to anyone who doesn't already have it, you know?
Oh, God, I remember
So-
when we first started getting into this type of stuff.
Yeah.
It was like pulling teeth to get the pipeline data. They did
Oh.
not want to give it out at
beauty
all.
of the whole railroad.
And I don't know how UMRVA got it, but.
We had to use Freedom of
Probably-
Information Act one time to get it.
Yeah, I think we use US EPA because they have to share it with like the government, you know?
Okay.
It's like your regulators are like, you need to tell us where the pipelines are, like, come on, you know?
Alright.
So,
You can do it.
Yeah, I totally.
And if you're going to like 4 or 5 different websites for something,
Yeah,
you
well, and
need
a
to
lot
just
of them, like, I know for instance, like the EPA and then